For those of you who do not know me, I'm Professor Priti Parikh. I'm the director of Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction. And I have to say, I'm humbled and it's a privilege to have this role because I'm always kind of pleasantly surprised by the dynamism and ambition that my colleagues have in research. It feels like we're constantly reaching out for the moon. And my colleagues keep me on my toes and challenge. But we are here today to celebrate the launch of our research strategy. And the reason why we embarked on this journey is that many of you know that we are a school of interdisciplinary scholars. We have social scientists, we have management scholars, economists, planners, engineers, architects, all working on sustainable construction. And within that, what we want is our community to thrive, to achieve real-world impact. But equally, as a school, as a leading school in sustainable construction, we wanted to also indicate where we would be prioritizing our efforts in the next decade, where we would be paying attention in the next decade to not only do research and publish in journals, and I know that academics have a reputation of doing that, but also taking this to policy making, thinking about real-world impact, working with industry on industry-inspired challenges. So the purpose of the research strategy is to convene and bring the community of BSSC and BSSC Plus really together to give us a clear message on what are the important topics facing the disciplines of the future. And this is also to showcase and celebrate all the good work that happens at BSSC. And I have to say, this was not an easy task because this involved extensive consultations with our colleagues, and all our colleagues are really passionate about this, okay? And I do have to commend Professor Zhifu, me, raise your hand, Dr. Antoine René, Dr. Wei Wei, Chen, where are you? Yes. Alan, where are you, Alan? Muntaha, who I believe could not join us. But I have to commend the research team who patiently, over 2 years, found various platforms to consult colleagues on what they felt were the topics of the future in their respective domains. And for colleagues to come together to debate, discuss, agree, and disagree on what those headline topics would be. So I'm really grateful for the team, for their efforts in shaping the strategy as it stands. And for me, it's a working document. Today is the first step of the launch, but I anticipate that over the years, with advances in artificial intelligence, for example, there will be areas of the school that will look to grow. And AI is something, for example, which is on my mind as a topic that we will have to embrace and grow. We are behind, but hopefully not for long. And similarly, there will be debates around conflict and climate change and housing crisis, and we'll be looking to further embed those topics in our strategy as we go along. I also wanted to thank all the colleagues who actively engaged in those debates and gave us feedback. And you will see some of that work being presented today. So the format of the session is that we're going to have the Vice Dean of Research for the entire Bartlett Faculty of Built Environment, and he's going to kind of set out some of the principles of what we hold dear in the Faculty of Built Environment around research. And then we're going to have a presentation from Zhifu about the nuts and bolts of the strategy for you to look at. And we'll have a panel discussion to reflect on elements of this. But I want to say that within the strategy, we come in with the spirit of interdisciplinarity, collaboration, understanding the context in which we do research, because the world we live in is complex. And you'll be reading the news where there is some tariffs and conflict, that we have to operate construction projects, we have to deliver them in those complex and challenging settings. So those themes I'm hoping will come up in our conversation as we progress tonight. But with this, I would love to now welcome Professor Ian Hamilton to come and share insights from the faculty perspective. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much, Priti. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining today. As Priti said, I'm the Vice Dean of Research at the Faculty for the Built Environment. So one of the things that I get to do in this really interesting role is I get to go around and meet with people and discuss what is it they're doing, what is it that they're finding, some of the interesting things that people are spending their lives working on. So I have this opportunity of being able to dip into events like this, research strategies, or it could be seminars, it could be PhD defenses, all these sorts of things that are happening all across the faculty. One of the things which I'm very proud of is that the Bartlett is a faculty of the built environment. What does that really mean for us? Well, it means that we are a collective whole, as Priti said, of an interdisciplinary group of researchers, scholars, practitioners, students who are coming together to understand how our built environment works. This could be from the design perspective in terms of architecture, but design also is beyond that. It fits into the way in which construction management might think through the problems and challenges it has of delivering the things that it's going to be seeing in our world. It could be about sustainability, which we could be thinking through sustainability of the planning environment within which we're going to be delivering communities for the future. It could be the health and well-being aspects of this work site. It could be all these challenges that we're actually seeing today of what we're delivering for the future, but what about what we have here? So the ability for, say, this strategy to really build forward the opportunities that it has in emerging spaces, I think is going to be some of the most interesting opportunities that the strategy sets out. Climate change is not independent of any single thing that we're doing. Being able to be respectful of the community and culture who are working and living in these spaces and working in these spaces is equally a challenge that we have to contend to build forward. When it comes to, say, digital infrastructure and digitalization, the risks, the opportunities that that offers is something that this strategy is beginning to build forward on, and I'm really excited by that. So some of the things which, in my role that I get to do is, as I said, go around and meet and talk with everybody, which is fabulous because I know so little about everything that everybody does. At the same time, I have a couple of remits that I'm really interested in seeing promoted through these types of strategies and works. Certainly one is to ensure that we are attracting funding that is pushing forward at that forefront of where we're researching. So what does that mean? It means that those big grants that we might see from those small grants, from philanthropic donors coming in and supporting our work, that they can see and hear about that. This is what these strategies do, is that they can promote that work through practitioners, seminars, etc. So making a case for funding our research means we have a strategy for it. Another thing that is really important in the role that I have is enabling emerging scholars. So we have fellowships, we have scholarships that come through various different funding, EPSRC and others that I know BSSC are really active in. So for small grants, for scholarships, we're trying to ensure that these are aligned to the research strategies and interests that everybody has. So being able to make the case to the college, to external funders, to doctoral training centers, that this is an important area to support, so that we can have people who have the training, who have that interdisciplinary skill set to go out into the workforce, again, relies on a strategy that understands what's happening for the future. Another area that I'm also involved in is making sure that that culture, that environment of research is inclusive, is supportive. So being able to liaise with our partners who are building, for example, our DEDI strategies to ensure that those are part of not just the environment within which we're working and conducting research in, but that we're thinking through that in our proposals. We're thinking through that in our team structures as we build together who is going to be supporting our research, that we want to ensure that that is inclusive of how we're seeing the world through these types of efforts in their strategy. And the last thing I would say is being able to work through, I had it in there and I've just forgotten it. Is our partnerships, right? This is where we have the opportunity today to be working at embedding our ideas, these emerging areas, these scholars, into practice, into day-to-day workplaces where they're seeing the benefit of that research funding, of the training that we've spent 4, 5, 6 years of our lives endeavored in, to then be able to go out and make transformational change, so that as we're working, whether it be here in London, the UK, globally, that the type of work that we see our colleagues in practice conducting, coming back to us, engaging with us and saying, we've got a really tricky problem here, we want to collaborate with you. Why? Because we see that you're the ones leading the way. Your thought leadership is the most important in this space. That wouldn't happen without exactly these types of efforts. So I'd also like to compliment Zhifu and the team for having pulled together what I think is going to be a really interesting research strategy to hear from. I've had a chance to read it. I'm looking forward for you to hear about it now. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Priti. Thank you, Ian, for your opening remarks. And thank you, everyone, for joining this last event. So I'm going to introduce our research strategy. The research strategy has been online, so due to time limitation, I do not have time to introduce every details of the research strategy. So you can find the full report on our website. So first is who we are. BSSC. BSSC is an international center of excellence in teaching and research in several important topics: project management, real estate, infrastructure, climate change, AI, economics. So our research mission is transformative. So we would like to redefine the built environment for a sustainable and equitable future. So we are doing cutting-edge research by evidence-based and forward-looking studies. So we are also very active with the policymakers and the industry stakeholders. And our research is also integrated with our teaching to educate the future generations. So our research at BSSC is multidisciplinary. So we have both theoretical and practical studies. Our measures are also very diverse with both quantitative and qualitative. So the multidisciplinary research can be demonstrated by our publications. So the left table shows the publications in the past 20 years of BSSC. So we can see the subject areas include engineering, business, economics, environmental science, social science, energy, computer science. So we are a really multidisciplinary department with researchers with different backgrounds. So the right figure demonstrates the number of journal papers in the past 20 years. You can see since 2017, 2018, the number of publications has been increasing very fast. So based on current situation, so in this year, 2025, we will have more than 300 papers. So I'm very proud of this because BSSC is one of the most productive departments at the Bartlett faculty. So our research priorities. So we want to identify what are our research strengths. So we have identified 7 research priorities. So these priorities are not standalone. They are integrated with some overlaps. So we have project and program management, facilities and build management, climate change, real estate, digital transformations, infrastructure, and sustainability. So, we have academic staff we have about 70 academic staff. Some of research are not listed in here. So it doesn't mean that research topics are less important. So we want to have these research priorities to indicate the area for collaborations. So the first one is project and program management. You might know that the formal name of this department is School of Construction and Project Management. So the management of projects and program is one of the most important topics at the department. So we have been, it addresses the strategic development of projects throughout the project life cycle. So I would like to highlight a project which was led by Professor Jackie Klaus. It's a huge project with total amount is 2 million. So it's funded by the UKRR. It has made large impacts to the academia, to the policymaker, to the industry. So after this funding, the future funding is over 15 million. So in addition to our research priorities, I will also highlight our virtual research centers. We have 9 research centers now. At least 4 of them are related to project management. The first one is Project Hub. The Project Hub is led by Martina. So this is one of the most active research groups at BSSC. So it has 15 scholars, and it is the world's largest team focusing on project management. So it aims to lead high-impact research and engagement activities which solve real-world challenges. The second center is Center for Construction Project Organizing. So it is led by Simon. So the center generates insights for scientific research and practical guidance on the organization and management of construction projects. Simon published a book, is Construction Project Organizing. So this center aims to provide innovation network which bridge theory and practice in the construction project organizing. So we also have MEG Project Delivery Center. It is led by Giuliano. So this center has been collaborating with many external stakeholders, such as collaborate with OECD to tackle the global challenges through infrastructure delivery, collaborate with the IPMA to launch the report, the MEG Project CEO Global Keynotes, and it also collaborated with European Commission to publish the report on the compendium of large infrastructure project. So one of the paper from Giuliano, it received the Research Paper of the Year of APM. So I think the paper was published in 2023. So another center is Center for Organizational Network Analysis. It is led by Antun. So the center brings together the fields of organizational design and social network analysis in research that enhance how organization and their people work. So it aims to improve the organization effectiveness and help them to address inequalities issue in workplace. The second research priority is facilities and build management. It's the management of facilities and building management is critical to support the functionality, safety, and sustainability of the built environment. So BSSC's research aims to make a significant contribution to the design and management of high quality, inclusive, and sustainable built environments. So we have a leading research on healthcare facility management and learning environment. So the Bartlett faculty have a board named Bartlett Health Strategy Board. Grant is involved. Grant is the faculty leader for health. So Grant has recently several projects which are related to facility management, such as ESRC funding, challenging space frontiers in hospital, and KTP projects, XYZ, reality and its integration into hospital delivery. And he also worked with WHO about strategic planning for healthcare capital access. Another research priority is climate change. As Ian mentioned, that climate change is involved in many research projects. So at BSSC, we have a group focuses on climate change. So this group has been publishing high quality papers in leading journals such as Nature, Lancet, PNAS, Nature Climate Change, Nature Energy. So they are making the academic impacts. So in addition to academic impacts, the climate change group is also actively engagement with policymakers. For example, the United Nations conference are held every year. So we have been attending the COPs. So last year, COP29 in Baku, so Priti, she, Roberto, Jin, and myself, we are there and to attended some event and organize some event. This year, the COP30 will be in Brazil, and she is leading some events organized by our department. So we have a center for sustainability science and technology. This center is led by Jing Meng. So its goal is to build resilient, sustainable supply chain and system that bridge gap between technological innovation and real-world impacts. So last year, Jing received a very big project funded by the EU Horizon and the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology. So it's the pathway to carbon neutrality for climate, environment, health, and social economical benefits. So it has 5 EU partners and 6 Chinese partners. So this project aims to develop an integrated assessment (IAM) framework and decarbonization roadmaps to achieve carbon neutrality while considering the social, economic, and environmental impacts. So the next research priority is real estate. So BSSC is rethinking the traditional view of real estate. Real estate is more than a tradable asset. It holds social, environmental, and economic value. So we have a center, it's Bartlett Real Estate Institute. So the director is Nico and the chair is Yolanda. So we have several recent projects which are related to real estate, such as Ukraine reconstruction and economic monitoring, led by Nico, affordable housing and shared ownership, led by Stanley, and housing policy and urban economics, led by Rodrigo. So this is the real estate. So the Bartlett Real Estate Institute has been working on the research about the real estate. The next is digital transformation in the built environment. Ian and Priti also mentioned it. So the construction of and built environment sectors are undergoing profound digital transformation. So BSSC is using advanced technologies. So BIM, building information modeling, VR, AR, digital twins, blockchain, AI, to transform how we space and manage the built environment through the innovation and forward-thinking practice. So we have a center led by team is Institute for Digital Innovation in the Built Environment. So we have 18 academic staff and 25 PhD students who are involved in this center. So annually, we have over 100 masters whose dissertations are related to digital transformation. So last year, we organized a conference, it's International Conference on Intelligence Computing in Engineering. It was chaired by a team. So it collaborated with European Group for Intelligent Computing in Engineering. So the next priority is infrastructure. Infrastructure is one of the keywords of our departments. So infrastructure plays a crucial role in economics, social and environmental development of a region or a country. So our research pays attention to the investment, finance, delivery impacts of infrastructure. So we have a research center led by Priti, it's Engineering for International Development Center. So this center provides evidence to ensure that every person on this planet has access to basic infrastructure through mixed methods and interdisciplinary research. So this center focuses on solutions for lower and middle income countries. So according to the Overton database, the center's research has been cited in 150 reports or policy by United Nations, World Bank, charity, and public sector. For example, one of the recent projects is to work with community to support delivery of water and sanitation infrastructure in settings such as informal settlements and rural communities. So the next priority is sustainability. Sustainable development is very important, and sustainability is a cutting cross thing that influences and connects with all other areas of research within the school. So our research is making contribution to the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, especially the SDG 3, the good health and well-being, SDG 9, industry, innovation, infrastructure, SDG 10, reduce inequality within and among countries, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 13 is climate action. So we also have a center is Center for Sustainable Government and the Law in the Built Environment. It is led by Amando and Kiel. So the other virtual research centers are also involved in sustainability, such as Priti Center on the infrastructure and the Jin's Center on the technology. So they also involve the sustainable related topics. So our collaborations. So Ian also mentioned is a protege. So we have global academic and institutional partners. We have signed MOUs with many global leading institutions. So we have been conducting joint research, joint projects with other external partners. We also welcome visiting researchers and visiting students. So we have been collaborating with professional bodies and industries. BSSC provides the enterprise support. So Xi Liang is the director of enterprise. So maybe he can introduce more about the engagement with professional bodies and industry. We can also engage with industry via the UCLC and UCLB. It's UCL Consultancy and UCL Business. So our research strategy, so it has been online. So I think if you register this event, you should receive it via email. If not, you can go to our website to click the research. You can get the full report of the research strategy. So some other contents, I do not mention them, such as our research support. So we have Anlan, Muntaha, Luisa, a research team. So we also organize the research event, such as Anton is leading the research seminar and research training. So, and we also mention our research ethics in the research strategy. So due to time limitation, so I did not mention that in this presentation. You can find the full report online. So now, so we have the panel discussions. So maybe I can invite the panel to join us.
Thank you so much, Zhifu.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zhifu. And as you can see, we have the breadth and depth. So what we're aiming to do with the strategy is to celebrate and showcase really interesting ideas and projects. We want to kind of ensure that people working in niche projects, disciplines, that all remains intact. But we also want to be able to signpost 6 or 7 big topics that we think as a department, as a collective, are important for the future. So externally, when we go out to external stakeholders, we want to be able to say these are the 7 big topics on our mind. How can we partner? How can we join forces? But internally, we also want to join the dots. So now we're going to take this strategy away and think about how we can connect it better with the teaching we deliver. The master programs, our PhD programs, to think about how it connects better with other activities within the school on enterprise. So what I wanted to do is, I've got quite an esteemed panel here, and I wanted to unpack some of those topics. But before we do so, I wanted every panel member to very briefly introduce themselves, and we'll start with Martina and work towards this side of the room.
Very happy to be with you. Martina Neumann. I'm Professor of Leadership and Society, and I have founded and I'm the director of the project.
Hi, I'm also Professor of Healthcare Infrastructure Delivery, Faculty Lead for Health and Departmental Graduate Tutor, which means that I have responsibility for the PhD students. I'm Xia, very happy to be here. I'm Professor of Sustainable Transition Construction and Infrastructure, I'm Director of Enterprise and responsible for consultancy, philosophy, short call, and shared activities here.
Zhifu. I'm a Professor of Climate Economics and I'm the Director of Research of BSSC.
And it's great to see an interdisciplinary panel set here as well. I want to start with PhD students, but before I come to you, Grant, if you're a PhD student from BSSC, please raise your hand. There you go.
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you.
And I know that Grant, one thing that Grant, who's our new department graduate teacher, one thing he's very passionate about, amongst many things, is kind of making sure our PhD community, research community, is better embedded within the research we do in the school. So Grant, I'm actually going to turn over to you first to reflect on the research strategy and consider the potential impact that could have on our PhD students, and vice versa, how our PhD community can support the strategy.
Thanks, Priti. I think the first thing is to celebrate our PhD students. You know, we have a really incredible cohort of PhD students that have joined academic supervisors and are for themselves making a contribution to knowledge in these areas and fields. You are a vital part of our research strategy, and I think we really enjoy supervising you and helping to support you. I think my aspiration for how we move forward with PhD students is to embed you more, as Priti says. I think we would be really keen to try to create more partnerships and more effective cultures. You know, us as well, I think the Project Hub has been really successful in creating a community of PhD students working together with academics, supporting one another, presenting their work and learning together methodologically, as well as theory concepts. I think it's the phrase is borne that out to other institutional leads and think about how they can support those PhD students, but also us as supervisors, how do we create that culture and to help support the PhD students that we supervise.
Thank you, Grant. And now I'm going to pose a challenge to you, because you are our Director of Enterprise, which means you lead kind of those partnerships. Any thoughts on how we're going to take this strategy forward with those external partners, whether it's foundations, whether it's big events like COP? So I welcome your thoughts.
So I think it's very impressed now we have our research strategy and we have very clusters, 7 research directional cluster and many research centers. I feel I've been to 5 British universities in my career. I feel our department is most interdisciplinary and has most experience. Many of our colleagues have worked in industry in the past and really understand industry's demand. So there are future opportunities while we are doing research, but also think about what will be the industry's demand and also like policy demand, government demand. So we are in a really changing world, both policy as well as in technology such as AI, Priti mentioned earlier. So there are a lot of areas which require academics to bridge the gap and to address the real world problems. So I think it would be really useful while we are doing research, but we are also thinking about where can the research be applied for. And I'm really delighted to work with Leah and other colleagues in the department to identify potential donors, potential industry partners to build up potential projects. And I can see also growing interest in training and capacity building, and this area require a huge amount of input from us as well. And the final part related to PhD in this new period of time, I visited a few departments of AI in UK and in China, and most of new findings actually come from young career colleagues with only 2 years of life experience. So I feel if PhD is a great idea and try to connect this industry, connect with the real demand, we have some really incredible outcome.
Thank you. And now I want to reflect on a scholarship in the school, which is around project management. So our school used to be called the School of Construction Project Management, and we branded ourselves a few years ago to acknowledge the breadth and width of scholarship in sustainable construction. But project management still remains a big topic of research and expertise. And Professor Martina Human, in a very short time, you have done a remarkable piece around setting up the Project Hub to bring various scholars from different aspects of construction project management together, retaining their kind of interests, so not losing out on those diverse strands of interest, but bringing them together as a collective to organize events, to respond to government calls of action. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about the Project Hub as a case study.
Yeah, it it was about a year ago when we launched the Project Hub. And we now some 20 project scholars, and we have some 20 PhD students on the list. Yeah? So we have grown quite rapidly, and the way we are doing it is that we have some shared values. And one of the values we have is that scholarship is for society. So scholarship is not only for getting publications out, but it is actually also for making a difference. And I think this is a quite strong bound within the group. And I would say I'm very welcoming the very talented PhD students who have joined us. And I see you as an absolutely asset. Yeah, you are the drivers, together with us more established scholars, and we do a lot of different events together. So, for example, earlier today, and just hands up who was in the Project Hub meeting earlier today, or who belongs to the Project Hub. Yeah. So a couple are here. And just as an example, so what we do is we have kind of 1 hour of planning what we're doing, exchanging what is going on, what we have achieved. So we have kind of every month a meeting, and then we get dedicated some 3 hours to it. And we always have some activity that is including our PhD students. So today we were discussing methodology, so how to do systemic literature research, and we have one of our very talented PhD students who prepared the presentation because Carolina was very successful of publishing one paper on a systematic literature research. And so what we are organizing is actually learning from each other. Yeah? And I think this is something that is very close to the values of the people in the hub. What we also have is we invite other professors that just want to visit us because UCL is very attractive to come to London, and then we integrate them in our Project Hub meetings. We also always have some networking events or something nice to eat, some sandwiches. And that is important because that is actually fostering our networking and our informal talking with each other. And I think a lot of it, of the miracle, is actually happening in these informal partners. And we have a PhD conference that is coming up together with Manchester University and Leeds University. So there's quite a lot of activities, and so Grant and I, we share a passion, and this is fostering the young generation of future scholars or future professionals.
Thank you so much. And as I said, I mean, the way you've kind of convened that community is an example of how we'd like to do that across different topic areas moving forward. Now, Zhifu, one of the challenges in academia is quite often we keep our heads buried in our own disciplines. And with the research strategy, there is a risk that by highlighting those 7 topics, there is a risk that we might have scholars who bury themselves in those disciplines. But the intent behind the strategy is also collaboration across those topics. Because to address some of the grand challenges, and Ian, you mentioned climate change, for example, to address some of those challenges facing us in the future, we need scholarship across digital transformation to talk to project management scholars, to talk to those who work on the financing and delivery of infrastructure, don't we? So, Zhifu, I welcome your thoughts on how we're going to take this work forward to bring groups together.
Thank you very much. It is a very good question. BSSC is expanding in the past several years. So when I joined BSSC in 2017, we have about 35 academic staff. Now we have 70. So we have many researchers with different backgrounds. So we have 7 research priorities and 9 virtual research interests. So it's really important but challenging to bring researchers to work together. So I think several approaches we can take. The first one is to rely on the virtual research centers, such as Martina is leading a project hub, is organizing very excellent research event. So the second is that so we can we will do the research centers. So Antu is leading and redesign our research center and research training courses. In the next term, from the next year, Antu will lead it. So I think the research centers will be a good platform for our researchers to communicate with each other. And the research center will be in person. So I know many people prefer the online meeting now, but in person, face-to-face communications are still very important. So Antu will lead the in-person research center at BSSC. So we also have the collaborations with external stakeholders. This refers to I'm leading the REF work. So REF means Research Excellence Framework. So we need to have the impact case studies. So I'm very proud that BSSC has submitted 18 express of interest on impact case studies. And these impact case studies are very broad. So some are domestic, some are international, and we are working with these researchers to complete the impact case studies. So I think collaborating with external stakeholders will also an important approach to do it. So I want to mention the ground. Talk about the PhD students. So another work for REF is identify the strongest output from our department. So by this term, we need to select the top 15 journal papers. I want to see that at least 1/3 of these papers involved PhD students. So I'm very happy to see many PhD students join this event. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, Grant, if you wanted to add anything at this stage or not.
I don't think I do, other than our PhD students are already contributing significantly, as you know, Zhifu. So that's a wonderful target. I think we're going to do it.
Wonderful. The question I had for myself is why now, the timing of it. So in a way, this is an interesting timing for the higher education sector. You'll be reading about kind of difficulties the sector is facing, whether it's around international students, visa, the perception of the sector as well. And you probably read the news today about migration and study visas and taxation. So, I mean, the higher education sector is going through a very difficult time. And in this difficult time, it is very easy to lose track of that vision and ambition. And as a head, I must say that I spent considerable time on finance, budgets, admissions, a lot of fun things. But also, I think this is exactly the time when we should be ambitious, we should have a vision. And what we've noticed in the last couple of years is despite the trends in higher education sector, because we've got this ambition and vision, we still continue to attract the best talent from around the world. And I think that's going to give us the cutting edge we need in a very turbulent and difficult time. So I wanted to stress the point that timing is very important, and this is absolutely the right time for us to be brave, to invest in a strategy like that, to take it forward, to put resources into that, because that's something that is going to future-proof BSSC and Bartlett and UCL against shocks and stresses that we're going to face in the future. It doesn't help that we are linked to the construction and real estate sector, which is by itself going through a turbulent period around the world, including some of our key markets like China. So we're actually coming in strong to say we need to be even more ambitious. We need to be more dynamic. So we're not backing ourselves in a corner at all. But I wanted to stress the timing, that why the timing of launching the strategy now has been so important to us. And this is the kind of topic I'm going to take up with quite a lot of our industrial partners, and I see some honorary academics and very friendly faces in the room who are external to us, but still part of our BSSC community. Before I call on the panel, and each of you can start thinking about the call to action around the strategy, there might be, and I'm just checking the time, we could probably take 2 or 3 questions from the audience. We've got Natalia and then Sean. And please introduce yourselves.
Thank you very much. Natalia Sergeyeva, Director of Education and Associate Professor in Project Management. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation and panel discussion. So my question is about the vision for the future, and I'm really interested in, so we've got 7 priority areas currently. Do you think this might be expanded in the future? And also maybe how often do you think you will update research strategy in the future?
Mhm.
Do you want to start and I can follow?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Of course, our research will be expanded in the future. You know, when we identify these 7 research priorities, so they can divide it into 2 of them. So the first category is our traditional strengths, such as project management, facilities management, and some of them are emerging topics at BSSC, such as climate change, digital transformation. So yes, of course, in the future, so because our department is expanding, we have more and more researchers. So our research topics will be expanded, such as AI. So we have many researchers who started to working on AI. I think it's a very important and interesting topic.
And just to follow up, that within those 7 trends, the emphasis on topics will change as we move forward. So for the digital transformation, there might be less work on BIM in the future, more on AI and digital twins. So even within those headings, the emphasis might change depending on future needs. But yes, we tend to kind of update the strategy at pace as and when needed.
Do you want me to shout out or no?
And then it's Adrian.
Super, thank you. So I'm Sean Thomas, Honorary Professor, but also infrastructure professional, so I might be asking a kind of obvious question. So I did my doctorate whilst working full-time, so I'm quite interested that Martina, you talked about scholarship for society, you talked about partnerships, and just really interested to think about how you're going to translate the research strategy into real knowledge that's actions in the real world, and perhaps for PhD students don't go against that.
Thank you. Who would like to respond to that challenge?
Thank you for the question. It's a really valuable one, isn't it? How do we form in that PhD journey a relationship with industry? We have lots of different supervisors who've got different views on that. Some are very academic, logically, some are really driven to work with practitioners and PhD students in industry. I think we're working hard to understand how we can be more effective in that. I think our centres and virtual hubs are themselves looking to recruit PhD students who are in industry and are really determined to continue the work that they've done in their own PhDs and to support others who want to explore and give back knowledge who are at the open practitioner level. So I think we need to do more. We're really excited about doing that. I suppose for me, and to relate to the question about what next, I'm really determined with Nicola to work with our PhD students to really understand their career trajectories. Some want to go into the industry or to set up their own businesses, others want to go into academic careers. So we are working with them and days to try to ensure the next levels.
Can I just add a sentence? Nothing is more practical than a good theory.
Spoken like true academic.
So I think there's no contradiction. Yeah, the theory should predict, and I think to distinguish, yeah, also when it comes to PhD students, whether they wanna go into practice and make the contributions there, or go into scholarship, yeah, that makes a very big difference in how they will also set up the PhD students.
And the type of skill sets and training, so I think that's something, I mean, we Grant met earlier to discuss that. So being mindful of the skill sets, because it could be some around research methods, but communication, and increasingly in the faculty, we've been offered more training on media, for example, So just be mindful of the new skill sets that we need really. Adrian, then Francesco, and I think that might be the last two questions we may be able to take.
Hi, it's Adrian Tumor here. I'm a bridge engineer and work closely with the industry. Now I can see that a lot of good research is coming out of universities, but very little seems to be actually adopted in the construction industry. Obviously, we know that construction is very traditional, lagging behind whatever is on offer. Added to this is the dominance of certain large players, for example, in domestic house building, for large companies through the market. They are interested in profits and nothing else. So what are the opportunities, the mechanisms we can offer from BSSC to help adopt initiatives which might benefit the industry, and might be legislative, might be other opportunities?
Sure. I can start, and then perhaps this is something you can pick up from me, or do you want to start first?
Actually, you start.
Okay, I'll start. I think the industry partnership point is really important, and I've had some success with it personally in my research, but it was through a funding scheme where a funding partner and an industry partner jointly funded user-inspired research. So I think this is an area that she, as Director of Enterprise, is looking to expand and to do more on, because I think it's really important to have that scholarship and influence. But something I didn't touch on today is we're very well connected to professional bodies and institutions, which often convene kind of industry leaders. So I have strong links with institutional civil and NGOs as a trustee, but we have other colleagues who have those links. So that's also another tool in our armory in terms of influencing, engaging with industry. And I think we're not using enough of that, to be frank. And I think one of the things I've been discussing with Tim is how we can encourage more and more people to join those professional bodies, to actively engage with those industry groups in a manner which is different from what we're used to. So it could be taking our research outputs but synthesizing it into 3 or 4 insights, which is useful for that institution or professional body. And I think we could make great inroads. For example, your work on bridge engineering could be so relevant to some of the new work we're trying to build up in Ukraine. And a lot of organizations are really interested in work in Ukraine at the moment.
Can I just add one thing, that I think CEG has a policy impact team to help impact for research. You might want to think about something relevant.
I'm on it, and I have kind of made an appointment which will be announced in due course. So it's in the works. But thank you for highlighting that. And we're going to take the last question, unless she wants to add anything. Last question from Francesco.
Thank you. I think the boss is to keep enough,
For the video.
strategy is a long-term view. So we have seen today just what we're doing, no action, what we are going to do. We have seen just one, not a realistic perspective, but what the school is doing at the moment, and what individuals or groups or search centers are contributing to. I have very little on the way around how the school will support in the long term those individuals, those hubs, those PhD students. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the long-term view from how the school will support individuals, a group, and students, rather than what we are now doing to do it?
Yes. I think I only gave Zhifu 15 minutes, so he couldn't pack all the activities, but he might want to touch on a few.
Yeah, I can see what we are supporting and Priti can add. So I think there are several ways we are supporting our research. The first is our research seminar and research training course. So Anton is leading it. So we are providing our research training courses, so which are mainly for our early career researchers. There are several popular research training courses. The first one is promotion of researchers. So each year we have a session to have this session to talk about, led by Priti, so how our researchers can be promoted. And we have some other research training courses such as editor session. So we invite a journal editor to make a presentation to share their experience. So we also have the research training to share their success in funding application, fellowship application. So this is the first support is the research training course and research centers. The second is about funding. So our funding is very limited, but we are trying our best to support our research activity. There are several fundings we are providing. The first is our research allowance. So every academic staff has it, and every PhD student has the funding for conference attending. We also have the funding to support support academic staff to join academic conference. It's conference talk funding. So we also provide some funding for the open access, the impact case study development. So the third support, I think, is from our research team. So this year, we have a new research administrator. So now we have Anna, Montaha, Luisa. So we have 3 people in this admin team. So it means that we are spending more budget to support our research activities. So this is what I can say in my mind. Maybe Priti can.
And I mean, Francesco, I had the difficult decision to make because the strategy could be bottoms up or top down. But the thing about academia is if you tell academics you have to do this, invariably they never do. Okay? So the way we approach this, and Zhifu's done a lot of work around this, is to have a bottoms up approach where we take the good work and then we house them in kind of topics and priorities areas. And the discussions now I'm having the portfolio leads, some of them who are here, is okay, the next 2-3 years, what are the activities we can do to convene those topic area experts together to ensure a policy outputs, to ensure outputs? How can we bring those communities together? What kind of support we need to provide? So I just wanted to reassure you that those conversations are very active. As I said, I had a conversation with Grant today about how we bring PhD students together under those various topic areas. So the idea is to now use that strategy as a hook to bring those communities together within UCL with some resources, but also then to engage externally with funders and philanthropic organizations. So that's as far as we've gone. I think there's still work to be done on the strategy. Francesco, as you've rightly identified, but I'm sure there'll be more on this and we'll report back. Now, we are standing between refreshments and everyone in this quite hot room.
Yes.
So what I'm going to suggest is if you have a line of call to action, we'll quickly work through the panel. And we're going to start with Martina, please.
Yeah, so calling to action, I would say, well, continue to disrupt.
Very good.
Very good.
So my call to action is around the PhD programme. We do have an equal distribution of PhD students across supervisors, so it's for supervisors who don't have any PhD students to supervise others. Go out there and try and find some PhD students to help your existing or to work with me about how we can think about new PhD students. So call to action, more supervisors.
So I'd like to say engage more with industry, philosophy, and government.
We have 9 virtual research centers. I want to see that these centers are open to all academic staff and PhD students. If anyone at BSSC is interested in joining these research centers, you can contact them directly. So you will have the chance to join their event, to attend what they are doing.
Thank you. And my challenge is that we're here to do research to benefit society. So think about how your research makes a difference to someone's life, improves their living conditions, and then you've done your service for society. Well, thank you very much.